we have the map vetoes for you to go through what maps we will and won't be playing on here to see what happens. Now, this is a potentially huge game for EG because they have struggled to really break out of the pack. We'll see how much the roster change really affects them, but they have an opportunity going up against the team of Noble, who, like I said, currently sitting in 7th place, or 6th place, my apologies. It's a big opportunity for them to possibly walk away with some points. We'll be heading to Clubhouse. So this is a map that's good for both teams. Evil Geniuses in particular used to be really proficient on this map back before the changes. The only time we saw them play it earlier in the season, they drew against Cloud9. So a bit of a sample size there for EG, and then for Noble lost 4-6 against Rogue here. So we've seen both teams play it in the regular season one time. Neither team have won it. So
let's bring up the community vote while we continue to talk about that. And neither team won it, but Noble's match was recent against Rogue. That was Playday number 7, which was much more recent than Evil Genius's Playday number 2. So I'm guessing Noble have practiced this map, and it's why they've allowed the ban phase to get here. They're probably going to be a little bit more formidable here than they were in the past. Most of those bans from both teams as well make a whole lot of sense, especially the Coastline one from Evil Geniuses. That is well known to be one of Noble's favorite maps, and one of the ones that they've performed better on in the past. They did have recently a 2-6 defeat at the hands of Space Station on Coastline, but they've still got a better track record on Coastline than most, and they play it quite a lot.
So as usual, we'll probably be heading into Clubhouse looking at a couple things. Number one, the map overall tends to skew a bit towards the defender-sided sorted deal. Obviously, the biggest part of that is what operators end up getting banned. Also, I don't know if you saw the community vote, 84% for EG over 10%.
I did not see it. No.
Over Noble.
Thanks for sharing.
That is a big one there. 6%, obviously, as the tie, because 84 plus 10 plus 6.
Really?
I think it was 100.
All right. Well, we have a pretty askew vote here in favor of Evil Geniuses, and that does not surprise anybody, I don't think.
That is, it almost ties with Rogue Noble. Last week, Rogue had 83% to Noble's 10%. And this time it's EG 84%. So this change in roster isn't going to slow down the fans whatsoever. I wonder if people are sleeping on Noble, because typically these teams do tend to match up quite well against each other, even though we haven't seen them play quite in as much of abundance as we have with EG and other teams, and Noble with other teams as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're sleeping on Noble. I think this is just the confidence in Evil Geniuses. And, you know, you talked about the roster change maybe going to hurt Evil Geniuses just a little bit, but it's Necrox. I mean, this is a guy who's been playing with the roster since day one. I mean, he's just coming back into the groove. So this probably shouldn't upset the flow for Evil Geniuses too much. And if you look back, the last time Evil Geniuses played against Noble, in the regular season, was a 6-4 victory for Evil Geniuses on Border. They looked pretty strong, and that was back when Noble actually looked like they were playing better. So this is probably going to play a part in how these votes come out. But here we go. The operator ban starting, and 2 hard destructors, but Thermite's still in play. So this is going to be a really interesting Clubhouse run. Thermite, of course, going to be very useful on the top 2 floors, and he will be essential on the bottom floor. However, the fact that there is no Hibana in play means that the drop-downs will not all be opened up, making the bottom site quite a lot more viable.
I mean, and now we see Echo and Mira be gone as well. These are some pretty hard-hitting bans for both of these teams in terms of operators. Now, it's been ages, and I seem to see this every single week, is that the idea of a hard breacher being banned has kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit. You know, early in the season when operator bans were introduced, we've all noted that either Thermite or Hibana were almost always a must ban. But as of late, we've been seeing a lot of Lion banned. We've been seeing Pulse get banned. We've seen Ying get banned. Glaz get banned. Possibly even Maverick. Speak of Glaz, he's going to get 6-picked onto from Buck. It's a Yeti going on to Glaz. Yeti usually playing the Buck. Crazy usually playing the Glaz, but you've got Crazy on Ash. So a bit of flexibility here to see as we'll go to Church and Armory downstairs, or Arsenal technically.
Yeah, it does.
The first defense.
It does not surprise that the basement will be the first site played, given that Hibana and Maverick are both banned. You know, typically on Clubhouse, Maverick is great for doing a lot of solo entry. You can make him push in through the dirt tunnel, and he can apply a lot of pressure. Hibana, of course, essential to opening up all of the drop downs, and now that's just not an option. So Thermite likely to be played every single round. I would be surprised if it weren't, though. Who knows? Evil Geniuses may surprise us. Noble, though, clearly, after banning Hibana, using Thermite as their main hard destructor, they're going to rely on that quite a lot. Now, I hope, for Noble's sake, that they have practiced with a lack of Hibana on a map like Clubhouse, and they know what they're trying to do here.
Now, well, here's one thing that's not always commonplace in the way that teams function on Clubhouse is we're actually seeing quite an investment early on in the roam from Evil Geniuses. We saw they opened up the drop hatches upstairs inside of Cashin and inside of Gym. It suggests that the way that EG is going to play this is it's going to be very fluid, and they're going to try to possibly get very aggressive onto Noble. And Noble is noted as one of the more aggressive teams in North America. You see Canadian upstairs on the Vigil. He's almost on a collision course with Glaz as Yeti has managed to get in onto the upstairs catwalk inside of Garage. There's a rotate hole there available for Canadian if he needs it. Crazy will join Yeti now as well, and it doesn't look like there's really much droning going on. It just looks like Breezy is doing solo drone work here inside of Cash.
I want to say we just saw pre-play C4 not actually work out for Evil Geniuses. Detonated a little bit too early. Either that or for some reason we're Ash charging the floor. EE1D will be used here to force these roamers to stand still. MVK is going to get a kill despite the EE1D, though. So great positioning from the Jaeger and a nice snappy shot onto Yeti. MVK clearly on point right now, almost getting a headshot onto Crazy as well. But he will at least stop the Ash from pushing through construction door.
He comes a hair away from picking up a third kill. He's going to go for a fourth, but not be able to capitalize. Breezy, the Thermite inside of Jim, will walk away with that frag, and it will free Noble up of the worry of this aggressive roam that we saw at EG. Now, bear in mind, Canadian was up there backing him up, but we'd seen very briefly that Canadian had fallen off the beat, gotten a little bit closer to sight, and was instead playing towards the main floor to try and kill time. There he is, sitting inside a strip club, holding an angle to see if he gets droned out. This is a great position to be. If they don't bother to drone out strip, which at a minute left, it's kind of unlikely that Noble might actually get that surveillance on that part of the map. Canadian could catch them as they start to get down the main stairs. That's exactly where Breezy and Crazy are situated. They're about to head down the stairs on the main floor, and Breezy inside of the main part of Bar could possibly be fodder for Canadian.
Yeah, despite the C4 missing inside of security, it will not matter. Evil Geniuses have done their job on the roam. Canadian, though, very exposed, and he will go down to Crazy, who just dry peeks into Strip Club. That is a dangerous play, but with so little time, as you noted, it is important to commit yourself to them.
And that was Canadian also missing most of his shots. That should have been a kill for him. He had the drop on the Ash ever so slightly. Got out-dueled with the ACOG from Ash's R4C. It just ended up being a situation where Canadian couldn't land the shots he needed. So the gap has closed in a 3v3. Geo situated looking towards the main stairs. They know that the hatches are not going to be blown apart, but as the Lion goes out, Geo still gets aggressive, takes out Crazy, gets traded off by Breezy. Necrox is there to frag out onto Acid, leaving just Breezy last man up. He's going to have to go for a defuse as the Thermite will need to stick the plan, and he's very exposed. Necrox tries to get the kill, but Young manages to get it first. Everybody from EG putting in the work that is needed here, and they'll take round number 1.
Pretty decisive round there for Evil Geniuses. Much of it was due to the roamers upstairs. So much work put in there, and it definitely did pay off. You know, Canadian in Strip Club just seemed like he was overthinking the situation a little bit too much, maybe trying to come off the angle at the worst possible moment. But that does happen, and it didn't matter in the end because he did manage to delay the round for oh so long. Now, because of that, Noble were forced into a no-holds-bar push in through the Arsenal, which was extremely dangerous. They had to cross the main hallway, which did leave them exposed to some fire from Necrox holding the angle. And then once they actually got into the site, Geo was there to meet them, and there was plenty of anti-plant in hand. So, great job to Evil Geniuses reading that play from Noble. I feel like Noble just being pushed into every possible worst position for that round.
So it looks like we're going to need a rehost as there was a disconnect within the first 15 seconds as per the rules. So we'll head in a bit of connectivity issues there. We've seen Lion 2 rounds in a row now. So we end up in a position where Lion remains unbanned. I would suspect that both these teams are going to probably run Lion all the time. Whenever Lion remains unbanned, we see EG trot him out. Now 2 rounds in a row that we've seen from Noble. Obviously working to try and freeze them in place, but a bit of a conservative usage for Lion in the first round. Usually a lot of teams, when they read that there's an aggressive play from the defense, pop one early, try to pin them down, work in coordination with your drones. They pinged NVK and they knew his position for just a couple minutes or just a couple seconds, but there was no follow through, and that was when he was able to get those 2 kills playing inside a master bedroom. Could have possibly popped one of the Lions gadgets early on, and then you found yourself in a really advantageous position with a numbers advantage.
I think they were just a little bit, they just weren't aggressive enough. I mean, we talked about how Noble is very aggressive, and they were trying to push the tempo, but unfortunately they were a little bit slow. Evil Geniuses also able to adapt to that aggression readily. As soon as they started feeling pressure, it was rotation, rotation, rotation. NVK stayed behind on the top floor because he was stuck inside of the bathroom, and he was just figured, hey, I'll frag out a little bit, help my team. But the rest of the roam just fell back because they read that push from their opponents. And the tools that they were attempting to use to slow down and actually, hurt the attackers, like that C4, the pre-play C4, the barbed wire and the rotation hole made from office into construction doorway, these tools, they did not bear fruit for Evil Geniuses. However, it didn't matter in the end because Evil Geniuses was able to read the room. They were able to determine, hey, we need to fall back. This is the time to fall back. And Noble just could not clamp down on it. I think there needed to be somebody to catch rotations, possibly a quicker push from Noble, maybe in through the pool table or billiards, as it's referred to, and cut off the main stairs. There's options, but Noble was a little bit focused on clearing from the top to bottom, and because of that, they left the rotation open, and Evil Geniuses was able to just center all their forces and end the round.
I mean, I am a little impressed that Noble did read to check Strip Club. It's a 3v4. You've got a minute left. You're pressed for time. You've got one singular hard breacher who's also carrying the diffuser, as we would expect. You've got 1 minute to go. You need to actually clam down the site. You've probably got very little info on what's going on the site. Very easy for a team to overlook Strip Club. Very easy for a team to possibly overlook Stock or Blue as well if somebody had rotated through Blue. So it's a good call for Noble to have been able to get that info and give it to Crazy to get him to peek.
Yeah, I honestly think that was just Crazy making a call on his own because we didn't see very much drone presence by the Strip Club. It's possible that they did drone out Canadian. It's possible maybe they saw his visual ability through the walls. But I think it was just Crazy saying, hey, I'll check Strip real quick. Just let me peek into it, see what's over there. And if Canadian hadn't been playing so very exposed, if he had maybe just been behind the strip wall, the half wall, or if he had been playing behind the bar, it's possible that he would have been able to stay alive for another 30 seconds and waste even more time, maybe get a late flank in. It was unfortunate timing for Canadian, but that's the beauty of it from Evil Geniuses. Because they played the roam early so very well, it didn't matter.
Right.
That Canadian got dispatched so easily.
They got the advantage from NVK's 2 frags, wasted a lot of time, and I think Canadian transitioned from the I'm going to waste time to I'm going to wait until time is out and then be able to pounce upon them as they're getting towards the site. I think that's the way it was set up, because if you looked, the other members of EG who were on site were very much passive. They were not aggressive. They were not taking engagements. They were not trying to take fights. I think that the way that their setup was they had done so to specifically try and get Canadian to get those kills, and he's set up to feed for them. So he wasn't able to land his shots, and Crazy walked away with that kill, but that wasn't the be-all and end-all. We'll go back into the game, and we'll go to CCTV and Cash Room upstairs. How does this site shake out with just a singular hard breacher and Thermite available?
So Thermite, of course, is the most important hard breacher on this site. However, a lot of the use you can get out of an operator like Maverick, for example, is not there. So you're not going to be able to deny the bandit tricking outright on the server wall. You're going to instead need to rely on operators like Thatcher and follow-ups with grenades. So you've got the buck here from the grenades, or from Noble, but you don't have Thatcher to clear out the ADSs, which means you're going to need to use Sophia Lifelines. You're going to need to use Ash Flashbangs. You're going to use anything you can, really, to clear out those ADSs before you start trying to nade the bandit, Young, who will be tricking on that server wall. So the complication there is that you leave yourself open. We've seen so many times a team set up on the west server wall to grenade the bandit, and then one defender will just peek and kill that player. We've seen it happen even when the attackers are expecting it, covering for it. Maybe they have 2 barrels pointing at the window while the one other player is holding out a nade. It doesn't matter. Usually, a simple peek while the attackers are exposed can result in a kill for the defense. And the problem with relying on flashbangs to clear your ADSs is it means you leave yourself exposed so much longer instead of just having a Thatcher EMP to clear out the ADSs in the first place.
I suspect one change that we're going to see with BC's departure from Evil Geniuses is that NVK is going to play far more aggressively than they'd been using him previously.
It's possible.
I know that you've specifically been pumped at the idea of him coming back to an Ashe play on attack, but here we have him on Jaeger, and he just already was wreaking so much havoc just in that first round. He's going to get droned immediately playing inside of that blue, top of blue stairs. Acid will lose his drone and see if the Jaeger is going to get aggressive and possibly peek. That's a good read of NVK's style of play, but NVK will fall off and head back downstairs. There was also a possible pinch setup by Crazy as he just wanders in through the front door and looks all the way towards Bar. First gadget from the Lion will come out to try and hold everybody in place, and Young will get found and punished. The Bandit goes down from below. Excellent read from Noble and great usage of the Lion to take care of the Bandit. Necrox will return fire, and using the shotgun through the corpse of his teammate will manage to net a kill for EG, and it'll be 4v4.
He's eaten a lot of damage, but taking out that Buck means that they're not going to have to worry about too much more vertical pressure from below. Breezy looking to thermite the wall. He will actually lose a decent chunk of HP. The call has been made that the reset is happening, it seems, at the top of these cache stairs, but Breezy unable to land the shot. You can see from below, Crazy going to Ashe charge those Bandit batteries, allowing for the thermite charge to detonate. It's a great job there, not relying on the grenades as it seems, instead just trying to take from below. That is an undervalued, I think, part of this site for any attack, and props to Noble for reading the opportunity there and seizing it.
I think it's likely that you'd have somebody roaming to try and make it so that you couldn't just go underneath an Ashe charge, right? I think that's part of what NVK's job was to do, but that's okay. He's still down below. Right now, it looks like he's playing an oil pit. He'll rotate through the garage. A lot of teams are not attacking this site through garage the way we used to see. When Clubhouse first emerged after its change, a lot of focus was put on garage control. A lot of teams have now managed to work around that and use master bedroom in construction, as we see right now. Oh, a beautiful read from Geo, and he'll behead Crazy as Crazy tried to look through the doorway into construction and will not make it quite anywhere near where he needs to go. Second line gadget will go out, and there you also have a thermite charge going off, but Canadian is able to take out Acid, and it's a 2v4, and that favors EG with just under 10 seconds to go here. Just about 10 seconds. Toxic Babe from Necrox will get tossed out. He got reset earlier on in the round, and Geo will pick up his second kill onto Heavy. Breezy right now sitting choked off by smoke with no time left on the clock. Geo will pull out his pistol, and Breezy knows that that is not a high-impact frag for Geo, but a 3K from Geo to seal things off, and that's 2 in a row from Evil Geniuses.
Solid defense there from EG. Noble used their tools properly. I have to, again, give props to Noble for clearing out underneath the site so effectively, and then opening up the Bandit batteries to server wall, allowing for that crossfire. However, the rotation to construction seems a little foolish. They hadn't put any work into clearing out construction or any of the obstacles therein, and they didn't have information on construction. So with about a minute left, you're making that rotation call, and you're basically starting the round again, especially after you've made so much progress opening up the server wall. Why not commit? Why not force out the garage, which they also had control over? They hadn't cleared out any utility, but NVK was playing under garage. That was the only denial EG had. As soon as NVK was allowed to rotate up into garage, that ship sailed, and they were stuck in their construction push. But still, it is a little confusing that Noble did not choose to commit there. Canadian was also playing, I believe, the Maestro in garage later in that round. He rotated in and was able to shut down the server wall in the end. So I don't know. A solid defense from EG and just an interesting rotation from Noble will cost them.
There's been a number of teams that have decided to forego, especially in North America, have decided to forego attacking that garage. Cloud9 did so at DreamHack. I feel like Cloud9 played this map in an excessive amount of times in Montreal, and almost every time it seemed like they were trying to come up with a way to avoid contesting the garage. A key reason is that one of the best teams, I would say, in North America at holding down the garage has to go to Rogue, especially with their play with Mute and Jaeger's gadgets being applied on that catwalk and then easily up there with the Maestro. Very, very difficult for teams to be able to get around that. And I think that's when we started to look for alternatives, and that's when construction became the place to go. Now look at this. NVK inside a strip club. Looked like he was going to be able to find a fight that he wanted, but Off-site, it's Necrox as the Jaeger this time around, as NBK is playing the Legion, who will be the first casualty. Yeti getting a big kill to open things up here on Gym and Master Bedroom.
A bomb has been located.
Evil Geniuses have a good amount of control here in their own site, but about nothing else happening right this second. It's a slow take in through construction. Noble just waiting for the opportunities to present themselves. You can see they're going to be working at that office wall. They do have the thermite to make that entry happen. Breezy's going to be stepping up to the plate. Grenades will be caught by the ADS, which means the Bandit battery is not going to be cleared just yet, but the ADS has been cleared now, and Yeti can go for his second attempt. And it will be successful. Breezy now able to open up the wall means Canadian and Young are going to start feeling the pressure. Young, though, does have that shield in hand and will be able to slow down this push ever so slightly. There's still plenty of time for Noble, so they're not going to be too worried about that. It is going to allow Canadian the opportunity to get some kills based off his teammates' information.
This is good assembling in terms of where the operators are for Noble. You've got one playing on Master side, and he will be gone. Canadian may be able to outduel Heavy. Can't go for the second, though, as Yeti will sustain some damage, but they won't be life-threatening injuries. Crazy will also pick up one for Noble, and this is what I said. Noble was in a great position here as they spread out their forces quite evenly. We've also got the Thermite inside of construction, but Geo, who's just been so good today, will continue to do so. So you've got the Bandit and the Clash available. Young is in a very advantageous position, just trying to hold down this doorway as there goes the Lion, the final one. Acid on the main stairs, trying to push up. You see Young will give his position away for just a second, maybe trying to bait him out as Geo is inside a bathroom to try and greet Crazy. He'll get very aggressive. Geo will land the shots, almost missing. He'll go for the reload, and Acid's position given away in a 1v2 with a Clash remaining. This is almost a lose-lose situation, and we'll need some heroics here from Acid. He tries to trudge on, but from behind the shield, Geo will pop out, Young giving him the cover that he needs, and EG look currently indomitable. They are perfect so far through 3 rounds.
A very solid defense, as per usual, for our Evil Geniuses. Noble, again, really do like their attack. I have to give them props for clearing everything efficiently, droning properly. Their utility usage is great. However, when they get into the actual fight portion of the round, that seems to be where Noble is starting to struggle. As soon as they actually confronted the anchors of Evil Geniuses, while they were able to get some kills, they were not able to establish a lead at any point. It just seemed that it would slip away as soon as they got it. So I'm not really sure what to say. I guess Noble, maybe they need some more fragging potential. Maybe they need to double up on each other. Maybe they need players in a position to refrag. Either way, when pushing from construction like that, usually what you'll see is the attackers be shoulder to the shoulder enough where they will just naturally be forced into that situation where you're going to get the refrags. It's going to happen because you can't avoid it. However, in that round, it wasn't the case. The Evil Geniuses always maintained their lead. They were always foot on the pedal, and they held on to their position. I think a big part of it was the Clash. The Clash managing to do so much delay, and then on top of that, the information that it afforded Evil Geniuses. I think that's one of the reasons why we're seeing a 6-pick onto a Montaigne now from Noble. They're aware of how powerful that shield operator can be, and they're trying to force it into their play.
Well, I mean, it's also a downstairs hold. If you go back and you do a sufficient amount of VOD research, one of the biggest problems that EG had when they played against Cloud9, if you recall, was they banned smoke. At the time Schlongy was playing on Cloud9, you were anticipating that whenever Cloud9 played on Clubhouse, they would bring at least one shield, usually in Montaigne. And it ended up being almost the kryptonite for EG, who'd been looking pretty confident as a team overall because they lacked a suitable counter for a shield operator. This just could also be in conjunction with that. EG just, Young having a great degree of difficulty opening up that small hole in the wall there for a second. This could also just be Yeti and the rest of Noble being able to counter something that we know that EG is particularly susceptible to. Also, for just a second there, we saw Canadian prone inside of office, looking at the hatch open above him, possibly waiting to see if somebody will drop. As Vigil with his gadget on makes it difficult for his position to be spotted. It was Yeti as well as Heavy, the Montaigne, who were positioned over there, but they have fallen off. They'll head instead towards the gym side of things, and Canadian will rotate as well. He sees the Montaigne, but will back off, realizing that taking that engagement with a shield, which is now fully extended, is a bit foolhardy. anticipating that the shield might drop. NVK pushed up, so Noble will know that at least 2 members of EG's roam squad were up top, both of whom have now headed back towards the main stairs.
Yet again, a good read from Evil Geniuses. Recognizing they don't need to fight their opponents upstairs and can just wait out the time. Canadian playing by the bathroom, very dangerous spot to play, and the C4 has been called out thanks to some great drone work from Noble. They're also going to be opening up that floor just to try and gather information on anyone playing at the bottom of the stairs. Necrox will take out Breezy, and Geo pushing up the main stairs will eliminate Yeti. So already a good start for Evil Geniuses as they clamp down here. The Montaigne has strayed far afield and is not able to help out his teammates. The last 2 which are over by blue now. It seems Noble have called a rotation. Though at this point, the round seems all but over. It's going to be hard for them to make a blue push exclusively turn into anything on a basement attack, even if they have a Montaigne.
I mean, and the Montaigne will have to be the one to take point here. They still have a Lion available, and there you go. The first gadget will go off to try and keep them all pinned down. And that's Heavy finding 1 Legion Mine, and then finding another with his foot. There's Geo, though, almost goes for a team kill. Oh, no. I think he gets a bit confused. Tries to soften up Necrox, but already been felled, and Geo will take out Acid. A Montaigne is last one left as Crazy gets down by NVK, and you're in a 1v4 situation. This is unwinnable. Canadian will manage to clean up that last kill as he drops Oil Pit, and it's 4-0 for EG.
Well, very fast 4-0 at that. These rounds have all been very swift because Noble have been pushing it with the attacks. And again, I have to commend them for some of the efficiency in their attacks. However, in that instance, not so much. The roam clear was pretty lackluster. They did not account for a push up the main stairs, which is a very typical push. In fact, you know, you could say Evil Genius is employing some very standard strategy there. You know, if you can call it strategy, just pushing up the main stairs like that, that's just, hey, I'd like to get some kills now. And Noble not locking these things down is clearly a flaw in their attack. Not only that, though, they also failed to clear out Strip Club yet again. While, you know, they did manage to get it the first time, it was too little too late. This time, they didn't get it at all. So, I think a little bit more of a thorough roam clear from Noble would be great. The main thing I keep coming back to here is Noble needs to be cutting off those rotations from the top floor. They're allowing the Evil Geniuses roamers on the top floor to just fall back with relative ease.
I know that at the start of the broadcast I said that this typically tends to be a bit defender-sided, but not usually this lopsided. By my count, there's only really been 1 round where Noble came close to being able to pull off what they needed to do. It's been a pretty slow start for them, and honestly a bit of a lackluster effort from this team. I mean, as you said, they're just kind of pushing, and it's biting them every single time. It doesn't look like their entry coordination is where it typically is. You know, the Noble of old, you would see Yeti pop in and manage to pick 1 or 2 people up because of Noble's ability to get in the building so quickly. It's not the case here at all. They keep entering in areas where either there's nobody from EG for them to be able to get a pick on, or they entry expecting nobody to be there, and then they get jumped upon. It's one or the other right now. And yeah, Noble still has an opportunity when they go to defense to possibly bounce back, but they're already in a pretty big deficit, and if Evil Geniuses walks away with this round, it guarantees at least 1 point for EG.
They're looking strong to get that 1 point. Information called out on the roamers just under the site. And that's obviously been the focus for Noble every time they've attacked onto Cash. Gonna be focused on that yet again. They still have the buck in play, of course, Yeti. The most powerful operator in this round for the attack. He needs to be maintained, safeguarded, as much as your Lion would be. And he will make his way into stock. This is where he can really do some damage, but he's waiting for marks from his teammates. Or, no, just looking to clear out the bandit batteries, which will allow Breezy to thermite the wall if he hits his mark. NVK in the front door will win the fight against Crazy, and Yeti immediately refrags. So well done to Noble for getting that refrag. However, no Zofia means no lifelines, which means less disruption. So when the actual site push comes, Noble will be at a slighter slight disadvantage compared to where they were earlier. And that's, of course, where we've been seeing Noble struggle so much, when they're going for the actual site push. The clear at the beginning can be difficult, but when they actually get into the rough and tough of it, they almost never win.
Here's another stumbling block that we're going to possibly see from Noble, is that this was the first real effort that we've had of them possibly trying to take Garage, and who's positioned up there but the Maestro of Canadian just sitting and waiting. One of those Capitao asphyxiating bolts will be used to try and ensure that Young can't bandit trick on the wall, and there you go, the fire will clear. Breezy will be quite successful at getting it, but won't live too much longer. His exothermic charge put to good use, but Canadian positioned up top on the Garage will manage to get a kill. He's under heavy fire though, and will be finished off by the para of Heavy. Canadian missing an uncharacteristic amount of shots so far in today's matchup. He also missed quite a bit on Yeti. As you can see, didn't hit him once. I get that LMG can be difficult to control, but typically you're not missing those shots. Timer perfectly situated for those smoke grenades to go out, or the gas canisters to go out from Necrox. He'll pull out the SMG-11 and try to take Yeti on the main stairs. Yeti will get dealt a lot of damage and wait for him to re-peek. Yeti will have to stop to pull out a goo mine, but he'll get felled by Necrox, and it's a 2v3. That favors EG for the moment. Geo, who's been so good today, a double kill, but Necrox will technically get credited with the last one as the remote gas grenade finishes him off. It was a down from Geo, though. Technically should have been a 2K for him in the dying seconds. A double kill, and EG has guaranteed themselves 1 point as it's 5-0.
Noble have been looking very solid when clearing out the roamers, when trying to establish external control. But as soon as they get into the fight with the anchors, I said it before, I'll say it again, they just seemingly cannot win that fight. Every single time they manage to get one pick or another, the Evil Genius's defense just cuts off the limb and cauterizes the wound, and they isolate. They isolate. And they manage to do it several times throughout that round, starting with, of course, MVK by the front door. Okay, well, that roam game isn't working anymore. No problem. Now we're relying on just the anchors. Well, okay, we can't hold server anymore. No problem. Now we're relying on the cache and cache stairs. And then even when they started being pressured from those two positions, they never lost that. They always had something to fall back to. And when the defuse plant inevitably went down in Garage, another thing, Evil Geniuses lost that, and they said, no problem, we can handle it. They just denied the defuse plant in the end because there was so little time. Noble put in a lot of time clearing out all those things, and ultimately didn't get enough out of them to get them a win. Now they're going to be rotating to defense, so they're going to have to win 5 rounds in a row to get a draw, which Evil Geniuses will, at the very least, get 1 point out of this match because of that 5-0 scoreline. But I'm guessing they're angling for the 3.
This is just absolutely incredible to watch this happen. A major bounce back, I think, from a lot of people who, there were some doomsayers online saying that, losing BC was almost a mortal blow to Evil Geniuses, and I think that was really discrediting their ability to come back. And I mean, it's difficult because our job as casters is in part to break down everything that we see, and there's been some highlights from Noble in a couple rounds, but really overall, there's not a large body of work to go through here in this particular matchup. It's really been all EG just absolutely consuming Noble. And for a team that's found themselves on a bit of a precipitous decline for the last couple weeks, this comes at a really bad time for Noble because we saw before the show how close these standings are. Walking away with 0 points possibly for Noble puts them in very dangerous territory, especially given that, 5th place and 8th are separated by 2 points. That's not even one win.
I mean, Noble hasn't just been on a decline for the last couple weeks. They've been on a decline for the last 7 weeks. They've been losing and drawing pretty heavily for quite a long time. They haven't managed to make anything really happen, and I got to be honest, I'm not so confident in their chances here to get even a draw. I mean, of course, they can't win at this point, but 5 rounds in a row against Evil Geniuses, can it happen? And on the note of BC leaving Evil Geniuses on the fact that they, had to rotate their coach back into the main lineup, I honestly, these are all the highest caliber of players, and I think they're going to be able to make it work no matter what. And it's here, clearly they're playing very strong here today.
So you've got NVK on Zofia situated on blue. He'll take out one of the Evil Eyes from Heavy, and then the Thermite charge. Both exothermic charges from Necrox have now been used. one inside of Stock, the other, as you can see, inside of Bar as Necrox rotates over towards Moto. NVK holding an angle on the bottom of blue, just watching to see if anybody from Noble is going to be unwise enough to pop their head up and swiftly have it removed. But for the time being, just an immense amount of patience. You can see the silhouette of Crazy as the Jaeger plays down in blue. And Yeti will get the very first kill. He'll pop up and down Necrox, the Thermite, who's managed to get those 2 exothermic charges off, which was a boon, but he's going to find EG at a numbers disadvantage.
Here comes the push setup. For the first time, Noble look poised to win a round. They have the man advantage, they have the positional advantage, and look at the time. So little left for Evil Geniuses. Canadian well set up to push in through the Moto door. He doesn't really have any other options besides possibly the hallway, but that's dangerous. And here it comes, NVK coming down the blue hallway. Geo with the cover of his smoke will take out Breezy, and the defuse plant going down inside, just outside of Moto. Young also gets heavy, Geo on acid, and it's just a slaughter. Evil Geniuses take full control of the round, and it's all over, 6-0.
There have been a number of 6-0s in North America this season, but yikes, you can't believe that. A number of Noble players getting 1 or fewer kills, and as much as KD is not your primary focus here, you walk away from this match with not much to show for it. If I was Noble, I'd be very disappointed in that, and I'm sure if you take to social media, you'll probably see them expressing the same thing. A great match for Geo, though. His best since joining the team. 0 deaths